Hi guys, Devin here. So, I'm if you've been looking at my channel recently, I started a new series, and with that series, I've been writing a book actually, or story. So this is the I don't plan on trying to get published or anything. So I'm going to post the audiobook with each audiobook. Once I get to chapter 5, I'm going to start to post the audiobooks in book format once the first 5 chapters are done, just to see if it's really worth it to do it or not. But I just want to give a quick explanation before beginning. And I did not have a script for the intro part, but the remainder I have all written down. There might be some grammatical errors. I try my best, but with each thing that's being read, there'll be specific characters being drawn that are fitting to which character is being described. Not every character is being drawn, but I did do a lot, even some side characters. And with that, let's begin. Chapter 1: New Beginnings, New Survival. Ash, a 31-year-old man, was a rogue trying to survive on the streets. In the streets, Ash would rob people of insignificant things, like a few tumblestone and a piece or two of gold. Ash, after all, had a family to feed, as well as close friends to feed. Ash had to feed his girlfriend, Flare, as well as their child, Torch. No one has noticed Ash stealing from them yet, after all. He always is careful, and when stealing, he always leaves the majority of the belongings he's stealing untouched. One day, Ash needed more money in order to bribe the shop owner to allow them to spend an entire month behind the shop. Ash, however, hadn't eaten anything in 3 days. He didn't have enough money to get food for his family and himself, as well as pay to get to spend time right behind the shop. As the afternoon started to arrive, he noticed a casino right across the street, which would be the perfect place to try to snag a quick gold or two, as well as play a few hands of poker and blackjack. As Ash walked up to the table, there were 3 others at the table, as well as the dealer. The dealer, a crocodile, introduced himself as Crook, and deals out the hands to the players. Ash has played poker before, but not in an actual casino. The small blind, a gimme ghoul, places in a 5 gold bet, and the big blind, a Zorua, not the usual kind, puts in 6 gold. The final player, a Litten, calls. Play goes to Ash, and Ash looks at his hand, which is a pair of 7s. Ash calls, and the flop comes 2 queens and a 7. Every other player checks, and Ash goes all in with the gold he got from today's mission, and the Zorua and Litten fold. The Gimmighoul calls and shows a queen and an ace. The final 2 cards placed were an ace and then a queen. Ash had lost everything he had earned that day. As he walked out, he stole some gold from that Gimmighoul. 5 gold, so at least he could bribe the shop owner. As he walked out, he noticed an Arcanine in a police uniform. He continued past like he didn't notice her. However, the Arcanine noticed Ash. Arcanine, or Ari, had been called there about a gang who was stealing gold and needed to be on the lookout for any suspicious behavior. For when she saw the Blaziken, she thought that he was acting and looked suspicious. After the Blaziken lost a hand, he left the table, which is normal, but he went around the table the long way and took from the Gimmighoul silently. Ari waited for the Blaziken to leave, then followed his trail. She didn't call in the theft, however, as it didn't seem like a gang trying to steal. They would be more open about it, saying their boss would see them or something along that matter. As she followed the Blaziken, she heard a voice saying, Ash. When Ari looked towards where the Blaziken, or Ash, had gone, Ari saw the owner of the shop go behind the shop and go to the Blaziken. You got my money, Ash? The shop owner said. The owner, a bombardier, looked familiar though. Ari just couldn't place her finger on it. I only have 5 gold and 8 tumblestone, Ash said. Please, You haven't gained anything in 3 days. We need the food. Please, we can't go anywhere else. You know the deal. 30 gold or you can't be here. Get out of my property, otherwise I'll make... The bombardier stopped as an Arcanine emerged from the shadows. What's going on here? Nothing that concerns you, officer, said the bombardier. Just getting these residents living behind my establishment out from behind here. Ash looked at the Arcanine, then realized that it was the same Arcanine from the casino. We'll get out of your hair, officer, said Ash as he started to pack up his stuff. Can I talk to you real quick, Ash? The Arcanine asked. Ash followed the Arcanine to the front of the store and into a different alleyway. The reason why I pulled you aside is not because you stole at the casino, the Arcanine said to Ash. I'd like to offer you a job, as you seem good with being silent, or at least undetectable. What job? Ash asked. And what's the pay? An undercover detective, and the pay is 35 gold a week. Why me? Ash asked. Why not just arrest me? After all, you saw me steal. Because you stole for a different reason. Not for gangs, but to be able to afford to pay for food to feed your family. Don't get me wrong, that's easily arrestable, but I think we could use your skills in a different way. If you help, all charges will be dismissed, as well as, like I said, you'll get paid. We can even offer you a place to stay, like one of our safe houses that aren't being used right now, or a hotel. I don't really get that much of a choice, do I? You do. I'll act like I didn't see a thing today. You won't get arrested, at least by me personally. I won't send someone after you either, don't worry. I'll do it. Meet me here later when all your stuff is packed. My name is Ari, by the way, Ari said, while handing Ash a piece of paper with an address written on it. Ash started to walk towards the address stated on the paper with torch and flare. On the way, a Sharpedo with a police uniform walked by, putting his hand on his holster. He also had a javelin missile, by the looks of it. You two go on ahead. It's a straight shot from here, Ash told Flare. I need to do something real quick. Okay, be safe. The Sharpedo walked over towards Ash after Flare and Torch walked away. You, Ash? Yes? Why? So you're Ari's new favorite pick. I knew she always would side with being a criminal harborer. If she wasn't my chief, you'd be in cuffs right now. Good to meet you too, I guess, Ash said, rolling his eyes. Only one thought crossed his mind. She lied. She must have ticked off the cops. She really stood up for you. Kinds made me pissed off. Trust me, you don't want to see me pissed off. With that, he walked off, swearing under his breath. What in Arceus was that about? Ash continued to walk to where Ari wanted him to go and found a hotel being the address. He looked around and saw Ari with Flare. Torch was also holding a new doll, this one looking to be based off a bayonet. You took your time. You run into any trouble getting here? Ari asked. I ran to your coworker, a Sharpedo. Didn't say his name, but he seems to hate me. Or at least seems jealous for some reason, Ash responded. That's Tony for you. Snow, as Julian Zorwa was walking the streets nearing a casino in order to get enough money to be able to leave her home. Though she was 15, she needed a new home, or at least new friends. Her mother died when she was 11, and her father left when she was 2. Zorwas, whether he's Julian or not, don't get to live with anyone else until they are 15. However, adoption or foster isn't available if you're older than 10. Some Zorwas and Zorwarks bully Snow because Julian Zorwas don't live in the city commonly. Snow entered the casino with a few gold she had and walked over to a table of poker. The dealer, a crocodile, introduces himself as Crook and then deals out the cards to the players. At the table, a Blaziken and a Gimmighoul played out a hand, and the Blaziken lost and walked out. The next hand, the Gimmighoul won again, and Snow was down 2 gold. Snow lost a straight to a flush. The final hand Snow played, the cards were dealt out. Snow had a pair of aces. The Gimmighoul went all in, and Snow called. The flop wound ended up being a nine of spades, ten of clubs, and an ace of diamonds. The turn was an ace, and the river was a king of diamonds. Snow ended up with 15 additional gold and left. Later that evening, when the streets were more cleared, Snow started to wander to where the city ends and the forest of the Winterland begins, and darted out into the forest. Hours later, Snow was exhausted and cold. She had her spellbook, but she isn't able to cast anything fire related. As she was wondering where she'd go, wandering mindlessly, she ran into a frozen stream. She walked along the stream, since she doesn't exactly know where the Winterland Kingdom is, but she does know that it is by a frozen over lake, partially unfrozen with magic from the help of the Stonehill Kingdom. She wandered, looking for someone to be able to help her find the village. After another hour passed, she decided to rest, and while getting ready to lay down, she noticed a little opening, which wound up being a frozen lake. Even though there was an opening, the Winterland's blizzard was picking up, making it too dangerous to try to traverse over the lake at the time. Snow decided to rest by the lake and fell asleep. As Pixie was wandering the area looking for berries, she heard the cracking of branches as well as light footsteps. It must be a mercenary, or one of the gangs trying to raid the village again. Instead of trying to hide, Pixie held her bow tightly, reached behind her into her quiver to grab an arrow, and drew the arrow back. Pixie wandered quietly, trying to be stealthy. She peeked through the trees into an opening and looked through the blizzard storm to see it glow through the blizzard. It was a Hijuian Zorua, lying there motionless, except for the rise and fall of her chest. Pixie put back the arrows and walked up to the Zorua. Snow felt something was off in her dreams, like someone was watching her, or something was a threat. Snow snapped awake, breathing heavily. When she woke up, she saw a fire in front of her, as well as an Alolan Vulpix, sleeping. Snow didn't know what to do. Should she wake up the Vulpix or let her rest? Should she leave and try to go to the other side of the lake? Should she stay here? As she started to think, the Vulpix yawned and looked ahead. "You're awake," the Vulpix said. "My name's Pixie. What's yours? Why are you traveling in the blizzard without a way back to the kingdom?" "One question at a time," Snow said, blushing. "My name is Snow. I was traveling during the blizzard because I came from the city. I didn't know there was a blizzard happening. I was running away from the other Zoruas, as my parents are both dead, or at least my mom is. I don't know what actually happened to my dad. He left when I was young. Sorry to hear that. You mentioned a kingdom. Is the kingdom you're talking about the Winterland Kingdom?" "Oh, yes. Do you want to follow me there? I can show you the way. I may be 15, but I know my way around the woods," Pixie said, while starting to gather her stuff. "Let's get going, then." Uh, so, thank you guys for listening to Chapter 1. If you made it here, if you do enjoy it, I would appreciate a like, subscribe. It is free and it does help me out a lot. But if not, I do understand. And here's all the characters that were drawn or were present today. And for when it's a lot more characters in a chapter, I'm going to have it flick through. But besides that, if you have any suggestions for any Pokemon you want drawn as humanoids, maybe they'll wind up in the story at some point. Or if not, I will still draw them. Peace.